Hey.
Hey,
How are you today? I'm pretty good.
I'm alright.
You comfortable? Is this okay?
Yeah.
Alright.
This is fine.
So, how was your weekend? Anything fun?
It was good, I guess. I just hung around my friends. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, watched Super Bowl. That's pretty cool.
Were you rooting for either team?
Not a Chiefs fan, not an Eagles fan. Don't support either team, but it's always cool, just kind of usually we have a big Super Bowl party when I'm at home, so it's kind of sucky this year, but it's all good though. I had my friends.
Yeah, you hung out with your friends again this
Yeah.
weekend. Did it feel like how it was last weekend? It was like you wanted to be there, but you were also kind of still stressed out, or was it better this weekend?
I mean, it's a bit better, but then again, like, I feel like that, like, it's like week to week, that lingering kind of feeling of like having anxiety about everything.
Mm-hmm.
I felt a bit better. It was just hard because, like I said, I usually do that kind of thing with my family. You know what I mean? And I feel like spring is just hard in general because I feel like there's no breaks, other than what is it called? Spring break and like maybe Easter or whatever. But I don't know. Usually, like, fall, you have stuff to look forward to, like coming season in fall, and there's more holidays and stuff. So. Yeah, but it was good. It was good.
Yeah, that's good. Well, it's always nice to hang out with friends, and that's important to helping yourself get better, too.
Yeah.
Because if you're distancing yourself, it's not going to help at all. And we talked about that. I did want to tell you that this is like confidentiality. So between us, it needs to say everything stays between us. I know that you have talked about in the past, like you didn't want to get out your coaches or anybody else. And that is part of my job here is keeping it confidential. So I just want to keep that's in mind, that you can tell me whatever you need to tell me and it won't go anywhere else between us.
Thank you.
That's what I'm here for, to communicate about things that you don't want to talk to anyone else about. I think it's important to talk about. And then, we talked about last week, we kind of talked about the side of like using a planner.
Yeah.
And how is that going throughout the last week?
It's all right. I feel like I'm starting to kind of get the hang of it. But the kind of way that it was outlined to me, just didn't really fit the way I kind of think. And I've had classes before where I feel like they're easily kind of, structured, kind of like what we talked about. And
the structure part, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm still kind of struggling. Like, I did a lot better this week following it, but I still felt pretty bad about everything. Like, I have, like, been kind of struggling with a lab class.
Okay.
And so that's kind of what's going on. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Have you reached out to anyone about that lab class or?
No, I was going to email the professor, but I've been kind of just, I don't know. I've been kind of struggling to, I guess, find the motivation to, or I just feel like with the kind of interaction I had with my advisor, I just feel like it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
So I'm just nervous about that. Just kind of reaching out because I feel like it's not going to be any different, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, we talked about how important your grades are. And so at the end of the day, I think it would look better if you were reaching out to your professors. It might not always be the easiest thing, and you might not always feel you like are gathering anything from it. But just like being able to say that you did reach out to them and like you did try. So when it comes down to it, if someone is mad at you for your grades or something like that, you can be like, well, I've reached out how many other times, and you have the proof of reaching out, which is important. So I think you should reach out and see if there's any like offering any tutoring or if he can help you directly. Because tutors can always help too. I know it's not like your ideal situation of having to go outside of class time to go get help, but your grades are important to you, and that's kind of important to remember, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's fine to like, you know what I mean, get the help. It's just kind of like I have trouble like starting, if that makes sense, like finding a starting point, and like especially with like I've worked with tutors in the past, and I feel like that's been great for me, but I feel like I guess like the hard part is reaching out, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The hard part is like kind of like what do I say, and like I don't know, like I've never had to ask for help, if that makes sense. Like I've always been really, good student when it comes to stuff like that, so it's just
Do you have any like friends or anybody else in the class that?
Yeah, I have a couple. They're not on my team, so just kind of like girls I do like, labs with and stuff, so.
Okay, so you do labs with like groups. It's not by
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Okay,
Usually.
and they're all in class, or are they outside of class? Or?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends. Like, it's week to week, so it'll change here and there. But yeah, mostly in class, but sometimes I miss, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there reasonings behind why you're missing, or is it just
I don't know.
you don't want to go?
Sometimes it's just like I really just. It's like it's not that I don't want to go. It's just like I feel like I can't. Like I just don't have the motivation, or I'm just like really tired.
Okay.
And then other times, I don't know. I guess don't go. It sounds really bad, but
Yeah.
I always try to get the work after, obviously,
Yeah.
which is kind of, I guess, bad. But like, I always get the notes from, like, the girls I do that stuff with, and then, after I always look at like the class schedule and stuff, see if anything changed. So
Okay.
yeah,
So are you falling behind when you are missing class, or are you not doing good? Like when you do the labs, are you doing okay on them, or is it just when you're not doing them?
I feel like I'm doing. It's like a bit of both. Like I feel like I'm doing okay, and it's like just okay, and I feel like that's kind of the reason why I get like really bad anxiety about even going to class. Is like I feel like I said, I feel like everybody just kind of gets it, and I feel like I'm struggling. So it's just like I feel like I have no motivation, if that makes sense, because it's like I feel like I don't know, I'm just in like a bad place with that. Like,
okay. So what I'm gathering is you really do want to do better on the labs.
Yeah, it's just sometimes I miss, or like I just don't feel good that day, and then I come back and I just feel like a little overwhelmed.
Okay. And is the professor easy to work with, or have you reached out about trying to make him up, or is it hard to make up, or?
I mean, he seems pretty reasonable.
Okay.
I mean, I just like I said, I haven't really had like the motivation to do so, but I think I want to.
Okay.
Obviously, like I'm struggling with like keeping up with my planner and like trying to, I guess, be motivated to go to class. And it's not like I've had trouble like this in the past. It's only been the last couple weeks where I've just been kind of like falling short with like going to class, and just kind of like, I don't know, like the new structure is just kind of, I don't know.
Could you explain to me how you're using your planner, or what ways you're using your planner?
I don't know, I just have everything kind of like laid out, like by like the due date or whatever. And I just feel like it's hard to find time like where I want to be focused and motivated, if that makes sense. Like where it's like I understand I have all this stuff to do, but it's like I don't really have time ever to like, and it's not that I don't have time sometimes, it's just like I just feel like tired and unmotivated and kind of, I don't know, bad about it, I guess.
Okay, and you guys are still having those weekly study halls?
Yeah.
Okay, and how many times a week is that?
It's a couple times a week, so it'll be like Wednesday and Friday or something, like towards the end of the week.
All right.
But it changes sometimes because our GA that runs it just kind of, you know what I mean, whenever he wants to get in there, so.
Okay.
It changes.
And you do use improvise that time to do homework?
Yeah.
You try to set time with or no?
It kind of depends. I mean, kind of like what we talked about before. I just
if the coach is there.
Yeah, like if they're there, then like I feel like everyone's more focused.
Okay.
And then I kind of like feed off of that, and I feel like I can like ask questions, and
Okay.
But, like when there's no one there and it's kind of like on your own kind of pace, like I feel like I just sit by my friends, and then like, which like it sounds really bad, like, and that's why I'm like frustrated, because it sounds like I understand the problem. It's just like when I'm there, I just can't focus, or like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like I get it like it starts off well, and I start doing well with like my work, and then it just kind of like I just trail off, and then it feels like I lose time, if that makes sense.
Okay, but so do you think if you were able to like leave the classroom and work on your homework in a separate room, or not with everybody in there, it would help?
I feel like it would. Like I just don't, like, my thing is like I just don't want to like be separate, if that makes sense, or like I don't want them to know that I'm kind of struggling, because like you know what I mean.
That you're struggling, I guess, but you can just tell them that you have something to work on that you have to take. Maybe you have to be like interview, or you have to like do an interview, or you have to record yourself. But you don't actually have to go record yourself. You know what I mean? You can just go outside of the room and do something and act like you're about to submit a video
Yeah.
recording or something, but actually be working on stuff. You don't have to like tell them exactly what you're doing, I guess, and you don't have to make it known that you're struggling.
Right.
And that's something that you can communicate with your coaches outside of the classroom, so it's not like I'm going up there and I'm communicating with them for 5 minutes and then everyone's wondering what's going on or whatever.
Okay.
Just making it known, like maybe even like reaching out to them outside of that time period and saying that you need some time outside of there to actually get some stuff done. Especially if it's
Right.
like the weeks where you're not going to class or something and you're kind of far behind. Just having that extra time set aside to actually do homework, because obviously if like your friends are around, you want to communicate with them, and that's fine, that's normal.
Okay.
So maybe try that out, see if that can work. I feel
yeah,
like
I could probably just ask, like, hey, like, is it cool if I just, like, sit outside or something?
yeah, or even like because we have so many classrooms in Heelan that are
Right,
able to be open
right.
for you, so just trying it out, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you can come back
Right.
and reach out to me again about that. But I think that might be something to try, because obviously if they're like everyone else is working on homework, you're dialed in too.
Right.
And so if people aren't around, maybe it'll help you to dial in without that distraction all around you. Because I feel like everyone's prone to, if there's people around, you want to talk to them rather than doing your homework.
yeah.
And if everyone else is doing it, it's like, oh, I might as well do it too, because I'm not going to be the only one sitting here doing homework while everyone else is talking or whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe. I mean, I'll try it out. I'll talk
Okay.
to whoever's running the study hall
Okay.
next time.
Yeah,
and
so we
I'll
can start
see
with that.
kind of
And
where
then
I'm at
obviously if
with
the
it.
coach is in the room, you can still stay in the room too, because obviously that's
Right.
when you do your homework. But if they're not there, then try to do something outside of that. And if someone asks, I told you, you can say that you're recording yourself or something like that, and you can't have the outside
Right.
people and noise in the room.
Okay.
So when you do your planner, do you think that, you know how we talked about the structure and you like watching, or like you like using the structured like timeline or whatever?
Yeah.
Do you think that you could like make yourself, the classes that don't have those structured timelines, do you think you can make yourself a structured timeline that would help?
I think so. It's just the hard thing is like how I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of I feel like I'm kind of like in a place where like I want to have that kind of same structure, but the class is structured differently. So maybe if like, cause like I told you I went to the advisor about it, and
Yeah.
they kind of just gave me like a rough kind of like, I feel like that's what they give to everybody kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like kind of like what you suggested, but like reaching out to the professor would help.
Okay.
Kind of like, you know, kind of like a giving me kind of like a guide on how.
Yeah,
you know
maybe
what I
even like
mean?
a one-by-one meeting where they can like talk to you about like how to structure it, or how to give you like a breakdown of the next 2 weeks. Like just go 2 weeks by 2 weeks about what you need to get done in the next 2 weeks. Just to start off, I feel like, especially if they're like some of your professors are kind of more lenient than others, like
Yeah.
reaching out to them and talking to them about how you feel. Like I know you don't want everybody to know, but like your professors are there to help you. And obviously, like, it's obviously not something that they can be, like, in the middle of the class, like, oh, and you came and asked for help and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
like, realizing that they're not just going to, like, expose you, even though it may feel like it, but just realizing that they can be there to help you, too. And, like, that's who you need to reach out to if you're honestly struggling. And so,
I feel like in this particular case, I feel like I think it would be positive because I feel like the professor seems to be nice. Like I feel like
Yeah.
he'd be understanding.
yeah, and maybe he really can help you get that type of structure that you're wanting, because not everyone needs that structure, but some people do.
Yeah.
So maybe he's able to organize that for you every 2 weeks or something and give you that outline.
Yeah, it's
just
just
so you
kind
know.
of confusing sometimes. And then
Yeah.
like because I told you like the labs they like change.
Okay.
So it's hard to keep up with like all of the change each week, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then that's why like the last couple weeks I've just been like I need a break. Like I can't. Like I don't know what's going on, kind of thing. So it's been kind of stressful, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that you should communicate with him, like, this is why I'm not showing up to class type of thing, because, like, I'm honestly stressed out about being able to understand what I need to do and stuff. And I think that might actually, like, help him in the long run of understanding, like, even, like, in his future years of teaching, too, it can explain to him that, like, not everyone learns the same. And so making sure it's, like, it has a structure for everybody so
Right.
everyone can understand it, because it might be easier for some of the kids that don't overthink about stuff and they just kind of like whatever the day goes, I just do it and I call it a day. But some people really do sit and think about like what's due and what's going to be next and stuff like that, and that can cause people not going to class, because it's pretty common to just like stop going to class when you're kind of stressed out with what's going on. So being able to communicate with him about that may be important. And obviously, it might not, you might feel like you don't grasp anything from it, but I think a start is reaching out for help and asking him if you're comfortable with it.
I think so. I think, I don't know, it might sound weird, but I kind of wanted, like, outside, like, I guess support from it, and I can't really talk to, like, my family about it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And, like, my friends, like, they kind of know, but it's just kind of, it's not, like, as serious.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted a second opinion, and, like, that's kind of why I brought it up to you, because I wasn't, you know, like, it might sound, like, weird, but, like, I just did not, like, have the confidence to reach out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's okay. I think outside opinions are important too. Because sometimes when you're just like so overworked about what's going on, you just kind of say stuff, or you're just kind of like, it's so much at once that you don't want to like say anything right away to the professor because you're like, maybe I'm just thinking too much about it or something like
Yeah,
that.
I feel like I've always been like an overthinker.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends don't really like, I feel like everything's so easy for them. So it's kind of annoying, you know, like, when I try to bring up stuff like that and, like, they're just like, oh, like, you'll be fine, or...
Yeah, and I also feel like there's some people who can handle it differently, too. It's like, some people just say that, like, they're brushing it off, but really they are thinking about it, too. It's just something that, like, people don't want to bring that up always.
Yeah.
They don't want people to, like, think, oh, they're struggling, blah, 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 like... And that's something some people are, like, more open to being, like, just brushing it off, but some people can't just brush it off. It's not easy. So, I think it's important to talk about it, also, and we've talked about how important it is to, like, let your feelings out. So... And you don't want to bring your family into it, right? I think we talked about it last time. You just kind of want that aside from what's, and especially like the sports side of things.
Yeah, I just like I don't want them to worry, like I said, and I feel like they put me in this kind of place for success.
Yes.
And I know like soccer for me is like everything.
Mhm.
And it's always been like that. But sometimes like I feel like it does like that's not who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and we talked about this last time.
Yeah.
That's kind of like every time you go home, the first thing is like, oh, how's soccer? Or how's this?
Yeah.
How's that?
It's like, how's the season? Or like, how's so-and-so? And like, you know, how did you do with, you know, whatever? And I'm just like, you know, like I'm, you know, that's not my whole personality. It's like I have other things that I like. And like, it's just hard because it's like, like I said, I don't want to disappoint them. But at the same time, like, I want them to be proud of me. And like, I want them to know that like I'm doing well. Like, even, like, if I'm kind of struggling right now, I mean, because, like last year, I was, like, you know, killing it. Like, I feel like everything was kind of in place.
Yeah, so it was probably easier that time to talk about, like, sports all the time because it was, like, I'm doing fine, so I don't have to worry about everything else, but when it's, like, you're kind of struggling with the juggling side of things, you don't really want it always to be about soccer.
Yeah, especially because, like, I don't know, I feel like my coach puts a lot of pressure on me, and I feel like, kind of like what I said, like, I don't want them to kind of find out because then I don't want them to use it as an excuse for, like, not playing me next season or something because I feel like the off season is really important to kind of show, like, you know, your training and, you know, like, that you've been doing all the right stuff. So I think that's kind of what I'm struggling with is, like, just, like, I don't want to let people down and I don't want to, like, that's kind of what makes me anxious is kind of, like, thinking that I'd let people down, like, or burden people, like, with kind of, you know, but it's, like, specifically, like, with my family, like, my dad, like, he cares a lot about how I do with sports, and, obviously, like, my coach, you know, so that's kind of where I'm at with it, like, I just feel like I can't really express how I feel, if that makes sense.
So overall, you kind of feel like you're just, like, holding a bunch of stuff in when it comes to, like, between you and your coach, between you and your dad, just because, like, their main goal is like the success side of things, but you don't feel like you're on the right path for that right now because of how far behind you're doing just because of all the stress on top of.
Yeah, and then it's like it's weird because it's like if I talk to my dad, it's I don't know how to put this, but like it feels like it's always just about soccer, and it's never like how you know or like how are your grades, you know?
Yeah,
you know, like I hope you're getting A's, like I you know like it's kind of like what I'm. You know, like what we've worked towards, and it's kind of like, ooh, you know, like, oh, not how are you feeling, you know, like how, you know, how are things, like.
Yeah, and do you feel comfortable talking to your dad about, like, how you're, or not like how you're doing as a whole, but, like, talking to him about how you kind of, like, how you're thinking about not always talking about soccer, or does that kind of, well, you think he'll make him mad or anything?
I don't know, I just feel like he won't understand, like, I know that he loves me, and I know it's, like, it's kind of like he's giving me his best, but, like, I don't think he'd get mad.
Mhm.
I think he'd be more like upset, or like he'd just be like indifferent, if that makes sense. Like I
Yeah.
feel like it would just be kind of like awkward. I just don't. I feel like he wouldn't get it,
Okay.
especially because like I feel like that's kind of where I'm at. Is like my parents weren't given the same kind of like, you know what I mean, steps to success, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
and I feel like he just wouldn't get it, you know. And that's kind of like what I'm afraid of, is like me opening up, and like I feel like he wouldn't get mad. It's just like
Okay.
you know, I get anxiety thinking about like him not really understanding, or like
Yeah.
I feel like that's worse than him getting mad, you know.
Yeah. And do you feel like your mom? You said your mom is more okay about talking about stuff, and like
Yeah,
you're more
I feel
comfortable
like-
with communicating
I
with
feel
her.
like I could talk to my mom about anything. Like,
Okay, and so you'd be
um,
more comfortable talking to her about like how you feel with your dad, like how you feel about how he just keeps asking you about sports.
Yeah.
And you think
I
that she'd be
so.
like if you told her about it, she'd be like a good balance of like trying to talk to you about how you're feeling, and then like you're leaving your dad at the side of like how's school and how's sports and stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like I do that. I just like my main thing with my mom is like I just don't want her to worry about me, and
Yeah.
like I feel like I talked to her already about like most things, when I have the time,
Okay.
and that's kind of like what I've been struggling with, is like I feel like I really miss my family, so
Okay.
it's like
So I do feel like it's important for us to find a way for you to like balance your school life along with your sports, along with also just getting time to talk to family. And because like even though you're not home, it's still important to have that family time, and like communicating with them on a daily is still important. And obviously you can't go home all the time, it's not close. So
Yeah.
I feel like being able to communicate with them on the phone and stuff like that, and then look forward to the times of like spring break. You're going home for spring break.
oh yeah, I should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can go home and you can see them, and it's like a time to reflect or whatever. But you just like setting time aside to like call them on a daily or a weekly basis, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because especially when you're able to just like let things out to your family members. Because like sometimes when it's all friends for 8 months while you're at school, it's kind of like you miss your family. Because your family's
Yeah.
always going to be different compared to friends, no matter what anyone says. So
And it's weird because I felt like last season, like I had like such a strong like bond with like my teammates and stuff, but this season it's just like been different.
yeah. And is
feels
it
like-
because of the school part of things? Do you think?
I don't know. I think it's partly school, and then kind of just like the team culture. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then I feel like that need to like compete and like just be like the best. It's kind of like, you know, rubbed off on everybody, and like kind of, I don't know. It just feels like disconnected in a way, and I feel like, I think it would help if I just, I guess, was kind of honest. I mean, with my family, but it kind of, like I said, I just feel like my dad wouldn't understand it, but I think my mom kind of already does.
Okay.
I just haven't talked to her about like the school part, if that makes sense. Like, I've been able to open up about how I feel about my sport, but like, I feel like I haven't really said anything about how I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Like,
But I feel like as we like work towards your better success, and you like hopefully can start going to class more often after you talk to that professor and you start communicating with him about how you're feeling, it may start to get better, and then you won't have to like the burden of not telling your parents stuff. You won't have to worry about that because hopefully you'll be doing better. Is the main goal, right?
right?
You wanna
yeah.
you want
wanna
to start getting to class, and you want to start having a structure in all your classes, so it's easy for you to do it. Because you talked about how your classes with the structure are a lot more easier for you, and so
Yeah.
hopefully you can create that structure in all of them.
More motivated, and I just want to like, I want to have that like kind of like you said, better structure.
Yeah, and I feel like once I think the motivation will start to come once you have that structure. Because you said you feel motivated in the classes that had that structure, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully if you reach out to that one professor, is it more than one class, or is it just that one?
Just this one class. I feel like everything else, I feel like I've been able to kind of just, you know, get by in a way.
Okay.
But this one, I feel like it's like kind of become a problem.
Yeah,
Like,
so hopefully after you reach out, he's able to give you more of a structure, and then you can hopefully work from there. Because I feel like that motivation will start coming back, and then you don't have to feel that burden, obviously. And once you start feeling better, I feel like that's the time where you'll start reaching out to your family more, and it'll feel like better talking to your family because you won't have to like have the burden of them asking you questions that you don't want to talk about right now. And obviously that's not your first thing, is like, I don't want to talk about this because that will just cause problems, and you know that you don't want your dad feeling weird about it or whatever. And obviously when your parents work to get you where you are, it sucks to just have them.
yeah,
Have
it's
to look down.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just, like I said, I just want to be in a place where I feel comfortable, I guess, with like kind of like where my grades are going. And
Yeah.
then just like, I guess like in a way like have the confidence to be honest.
Okay.
You know, just like not feel as like anxious about having those kinds of conversations. And I feel like I can. It's just like I guess, like I said, I'm kind of just overthinking everything. So
Yeah, and I feel like that confidence will start. Like, once you, like, reach out to your professor, do you think you'll feel better about it? If you, like, have the
Yeah.
confidence to go talk to him about what's going on?
yeah,
Like, whether it's, like, an automatic fix or something right away, it might not feel like it, but maybe it'll, like, gradually get better. It's not, everything's not going to be a fix at once, and we've talked about that. It's kind of like you kind of work towards what you need. But I think this week we'll have you practice more of the structure with him. Talk about, or even, like, if he doesn't, like, give you, like, a full structure, he's just able to, like, give you, like, the next 2 weeks, and, like, you can write stuff down in your planner. And is there any other ways that you're going to try to, like, improvise your planner, or?
I don't know. I guess like just make sure I'm marking off each day, and staying on track with the school website and everything, and kind of like email reminders. I think that's one thing I just forget. Is like I feel like I read it and then I'm like, oh, okay, like I'll remember, and then I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
Like,
so I think
2
that's
days later,
one thing
so-
is, like, when you read it, just write it down in your planner.
Yeah.
And then that your planner's, like, your go-to for everything. Checking it each day to make sure that whatever you have on that day is marked off.
Yeah.
And I feel like just highlighting it or crossing it off, and I feel like it'll make you feel better also, is like when you're able to, like, cross off 3 things in one day. It'll keep you motivated, like, oh, I did 3 things today.
Right.
Or, like, when last week I was sleeping through both my classes or something like that,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Like,
no,
I feel like that's like
yeah.
a great feeling after not doing so well for the last few weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
And
I
then
think,
I plan on talking to the coach.
yep, reaching
about-
out to your professors and your coaches.
Yeah.
And especially if the coaches aren't going to be in the study hall, saying that you're going to go to another room and get some work done, because that's what you want to get done. And then also reaching out to your professor to try to get that structure and keep that in mind. And
Right.
and then also trying to set aside some time to talk to your family outside of the friends and school and sports and stuff like that. Just having, like, an hour to talk to family per week, just to let some stuff out that you don't normally talk to your friends about. Stuff like that, because I feel like that's important,
Yeah.
even when it doesn't feel like it is.
Yeah, I agree. I feel a bit better. I guess, like, it's good that I have these conversations, because it's like I feel like I can't really talk to anybody else about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm in a I feel better about it, I guess.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, and so then I think next week we can talk about how the conversation with your professor went. It's important to talk to him. I feel like maybe emailing him and setting up a time to talk to him is probably important, just so you know that, and just so he knows that you.
Right.
So emailing, reaching out, so he knows that you guys need to talk, and then just trying to talk about that structure is important. And then I think we can go from there after you talk to him,
Yeah.
and then we talk about everything else you need to get done or try to do this week, and then we
Yeah.
can go from there.
Okay.
Is that all you had to talk about?
Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Sounds good. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Yeah.